but not before the tunes of the Hilltop Hoods. How are you guys? Let us know if you're coming in to watch this one live, and we're going to be kickstarting in a couple of minutes. Very provocative title, right? I hope you guys have had a beautiful start to today. Let us know in the comments if you are coming in to watch this one live. Hey, Bobby, what's going on, mate? How are you, boys? Ooh. All right. So we're going to start this one in about 2 minutes, guys. So I hope you have a good start to the morning. Bobby, what's going on, mate? How was your weekend, pal? It's lovely to have your company here this morning, guys. Get down in the comments if you're watching this one live, guys. I always like to know who I'm speaking to because it gives me a personality to chat to. So let us know if you come in. Hello, Chriso. What's going on, my main dude? I'm guessing you guys might be walking together, perhaps. The ever-present Bob and Chris. Good morning, Tezzy. How are you, my legend? What's going on, Tez? Gym session at 1:30 this morning. Drove to the coast 3 times and back. Tez, you're unbelievably consistent, my man. Hello, Jezza. How are you, mate? Good to see you in here, Jez. Why weren't you on the walk here yesterday with us, Jez? 5:30 in the morning, too early for you, mate. By the way, guys, Jerry and his beautiful missus have just opened up a daycare on the Central Coast. I'm advised that it's basically the nicest daycare that's ever been seen. So if you're on the Central Coast, I don't even know if they're even full or got any space at the moment, but reach out to Jez. He's your man. Feel free to promote in the comments there, Jezza. Good morning, Nico. How are you, my dude? How good was it to see Raf coming in? I don't know if you're watching this, Raf, but mate, so good. We've just got our first wolf joining from Brazil, which is pretty damn cool. We're global, totally global. Bobby had a weekend away. I love it, Bobby. Good morning, Bill. Thanks for coming in, pal. Good to see you here, mate. I hope things are going well. Jake, how are you, Dull? Good to see you here as well. We got Ross, a bit of gym with Ross this morning. I like that. Nice work, Chriso. Getting the big dog back into it. Has he cut his hair off yet or what? I walked this morning now at work. Good on you, Bobby. That's what we like to see, mate. You're getting super consistent and just following the process, Bobby, which I really, really love, mate. Jez, thanks for the plug. Yeah, how's it going, Jez? Let us know. Yeah, I was speaking to Haley the other day and she just said to me, it's absolutely beautiful. So another reason why maybe Cords and I need to stay in Australia. Anyway, guys, I think we are ready to rock and roll with another episode of the podcast. What do you say? So, guys, I think we can get started. Let's do this on the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back to the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast that you come to when you are absolutely sick of the dumb diets and these unsustainable workout programs. Now, today's episode, as we near the 100 episode mark, we are at episode 98. We're going to be talking about a conversation that I had with one of our boys yesterday, and it's a very provocative title. Are you ready to start dying? Ooh, guys, my little trip to Australia is slowly coming to a gradual end. Claudia and I had our first night ever away from our little baby Ocean. Last night, Carly's looking after her, so we come down to the city and spend a night in the Sofitel. So I'm coming to you live just before we go and smash a breakfast buffet. I want to say how hard it is. So to all of you that have kids, you probably know exactly what I mean. Like the first night you had away from them, she's in good care, of course. But it's just a weird thing being away from your little baby that, you know, given that her first 2 weeks were in the NICU, in the intensive care, I have never, ever spent a night away from her. And we're looking forward to giving her a little bit of a FaceTime call after this and seeing everything's all good and well and if she slept okay. Guys, on that note, I had this idea about, we did a trip to Fiji last week. We just got back a couple of days ago. And it made me think, when you're walking around the buffet, how many of you sort of think to yourself, well, because I'm in a buffet and it's available to me, I need to eat everything to get my money's worth. And when I was in Fiji, we had that available to us every single day, like a laid on, all you can eat buffet. And it's going to be the same downstairs. I just know that for a lot of guys and girls, that's just going to be a temptation that's too hard to turn down. But I want to remind you that as you get or become more self-aware, you just because it's available, it doesn't mean you have to eat everything. Now, taking the example of, this in our relationships, just because you work with you're a man and you work with a bunch of ladies and some of them are single and you could potentially hook up with them, that doesn't mean you do it, right? Just because, money's available, you might have the opportunity to sell drugs. That doesn't mean you just lunch in and do it. Why is it that the moment that kind of food becomes available and it's slaughtered on, we just need to eat everything? I think that we need to approach it just with a little bit of awareness. Have a little bit of enjoyment. If it's a day off for you, that's completely fine. But just because it's available, it doesn't mean you need to eat everything. And that's just a little bit of a side, discussion before we go into today's topic. So let's get into today's topic. I want to talk about whether you are ready to start dying or not. This is a serious topic, and I had a fantastic chat with one of our new guys inside of the academy yesterday. So we had 20 odd men, organized by the one and only Chris Lewis. We had 20 odd men turn up to a meeting point yesterday to do what we call inside the Better Body Academy a stomp. A stomp is just where a bunch of men or a bunch of women get together and just do a walk together. And yes, the idea is to get out and be active. That's the first and foremost idea. But the main part about it is that you go in and you go and connecting with a bunch of blokes or a bunch of women rather than just trying to struggle and do things on your own. And of course, during these chats, some fantastic conversations come up because you're forced into walking with people you don't necessarily know, and people walk at different paces, and you get to have these fantastic conversations and just hear what's going on in other guys' lives. And the cool bit about that is that, you were somewhat validated in realizing that everyone struggles, everyone's going through their same shit. And the mistake is to feel like, just because you're going through shit, there's something wrong with you. The reality is we're all dealing with things in our own way. And this chat that I had yesterday with one of the boys really reminded me of it. In and of itself, so many lads are lonely. And we know this because of the male suicide rate being where it is. It's the number one cause of death for men under 40. And if that doesn't scream kind of red alerts, I'm not really sure what would. We've got a community inside the Better Body Academy which is just so supportive. When a new guy joins us and puts his introduction photo, he'll have 30 to 50 guys jumping on the post and saying, welcome. And it's, these guys that have been around the academy for a long period of time that are the most supportive people. Now, one of these guys who started around 4 weeks ago, his name is Steve. And I had the chance to meet him in person yesterday. And we got a fantastic chat going on. Check this out. If I have the numbers right, Steve has lost 12 kilograms in 4 weeks. Okay, 12 kilograms in 4 weeks. And listening to him talk about how he feels like his life has changed in such a short period of time was just so beautiful for me to listen. He said, Jace, I'm feeling the best I've ever felt. I'm literally becoming consistent. I'm getting up and I'm training at 5 o'clock in the morning before I commute to Sydney. I've never done that in my life. And he was literally hooting with happiness, just hooting with happiness. And I asked him, what are the things that you've actually noticed in your life? Because fat loss is one thing, but what are the non-scale victories that you've noticed in your life? He gave me 2 very big pieces. He said, Jace, you know what? I have so much clarity at the moment. It's unreal. Like, it feels like I'm playing football again. And by the way, Steve was well into his sports, and that's part of his journey. He got injured and could no longer do these sports anymore, and that started the decline. Steve said, it's almost like I'm playing footy again, and I'm seeing the play like a brilliant footballer 5 minutes ahead of everyone else. And this is important because in Steve's role, he's a factory manager, which basically means that he's overseeing around 40 or 50 guys at one time and needing to be ahead of the pace. He said, my clarity is unbelievably sharp, and I can only put that down to the fact that my heart is beating again because I'm doing some exercise. And secondly, I'm fueling myself with food that's not weighing me down and making me feel cloggy. And instead, it's actually clearing me up and making me feel good. He said, that's the first thing I notice. He said, but Jace, I'm on the position where I've got to commute every day, and it's a job that I can't work from home because I've got to oversee process. And he said, dude, when I get home, even after a massive day of which I've been going since 5 o'clock in the morning, I am so non-reactive. I get home to my kids and people are asking me like, what's changed about you? He got summoned by his bosses the other day and he thought he was going in for a lecture. He thought he'd done something wrong and he was going to cop a beating. But instead, they just wanted to know, like, what's going on? What's changed about you, Steve? He said, the clarity and the non-reactiveness that I have now is beyond words. And so what I'm most interested in is if these, things are available to us, why is it that we waited so long? Why do we wait so long to do something about it? We all know that we are at a point where, if we're feeling crappy, we've got to do something. We can't just continue to feel crappy. Feeling crappy, 5-10 years are going to pass, and if you're still in the same spot, like, is that a life that you want to live? No, of course. So what I'm most interested in as a coach is better understanding where you are at, where my clients are at, and how we can better mobilize you to get into momentum and action. So actually, I texted Steve in preparation for this podcast last night, and I'm going to read out verbatim what he said. How many of you resonate with this? He said, Jace, mate, I felt completely stuck. I felt like I'd let it go too far. I didn't have the confidence to turn it around. Jace, I felt like I'd let my best years pass me by. I really wish I'd done something about it earlier, but I guess I wasn't ready, or I wasn't in the right headspace to invest in myself. Kinda silly when you think about it, really. By investing in myself, my family, and career, my family are benefiting much as I am. Like, does that resonate with you guys? I felt like my best years had passed me, and I wish I'd just done something earlier, but I felt like I'd let it go too far, and it was too late. How was that in summing up how you felt before you got started inside of Better Body Academy? I bet you felt exactly the same way. I'm 35, I'm 40 years old, I'm 50 years old. It's just too difficult. I've got all of this weight. I can't do anything about it. I'm busy. The world's on top of me. I feel overwhelmed. And before you know it, you end up in this pile of shit that you're just like, oh no, I can't turn this around. And so this got me thinking, how many men and women are out there that are in exactly the same space as Steve was at that point in time? And the thing that keeps me motivated to just take this to all new levels is thinking so many people are stuck, and within 4 weeks, Steve has completely changed things around. People wishing that they could change, but not having maybe the self-belief that they can actually do it. So they tolerate feeling shit because it's kind of like better the devil you know, right? Does that sound right? Let's think about it. What are you actually scared of? In starting something new, whether it be new work, new relationship, a new fitness journey, what is it that you're actually scared of? I think that the two big things is that you are scared of being judged, number one, and that you are scared of failure. And what I need you to know is this. The reason that you are nervous about starting your transformation is because the outcome means something to you. Remember when you played footy or netball or soccer as a kid and you used to get really nervous before games? I can remember, for those of you that know Chris Hyington, I can remember I played footy with Chris when we were younger, and Chris is now an incredible athlete. But back then when he was 12, 13 years old, he used to spew before games because he was so nervous. And so the reason that you're actually nervous is because the outcome means something to you. If you weren't nervous, it's because the outcome is probably not really important. So I think that people need to understand that there's a stage of change that we go through. And at the start, it looks like this. It's like I don't know what I don't know. And then someone presents to you the idea that, hey, you know what? You could change here. You could do something about your life. So we go into this period of contemplation for a period of time. And you might be doing this right now about your career, as an example. We contemplate, and then eventually the pain starts to just mount, the distaste for where we're at. And then we move into a phrase called preparation. And preparation is where we're checking out different options that are available to us. We're looking at different jobs. We're maybe getting our CV ready. Or in the fitness case, maybe we go out and we inquire and we look at a few gyms, or maybe we go and we Google search and we say, I want to lose weight, or whatever it is. And we're starting to actually move the idea, and the snowball is picking up momentum. And eventually we have to get to the point of action. So action is the last step. Action is we actually go into momentum, rip the scab off, and do something. And just because you take action, that doesn't mean that you get results. What ends up happening is you flip and flop back a little bit between action and no action and reaction. But eventually you get to the point where in life you are ready. And this is the reason why, if you're listening to this and you're not inside the academy, we're not pushy with our sales process. Because if we push you into getting started before you are ready, well then you're going to be a pain in the ass in terms of managing, because it's going to be all coach pulling and not enough pushing for your side. So you need to be ready. But equally, I want to say this, and to those of you that are considering coming into the Better Body Academy Mastermind, it is this. You will never be ready for your next level. So I call this the Readiness Paradox. A paradox is a statement that kind of seems to contradict itself. I'm telling you, in one hand, you need to be ready to lean into the process of your transformation. You need to be ready to do something about it. But then equally, I'm telling you in the same hand, and guess what? You will never, ever be ready. The reason that you're never ready for your next level is because you're not there yet and you don't have the skills and the mindset. And I know this firsthand because I was not ready to be a coach to a number of 100 people because I wasn't there yet. So I was wanting to be ready, but I wasn't ready, and that's why I wasn't there. We call this life in the gap. What I can guarantee you of is this. If you lean in and you trust the process, my girls, my guys have got you. And see, here's the thing. You think you need a coach mostly for his or her expertise and knowledge. Maybe that's the thing that you need. And that's definitely part of it, is giving you the tools so you can do away with the BS and do the things that actually work. That's why Steve has got results. But more importantly, what I want to just say this like clear as day, more importantly, it's the tools, yes, but actually the most important part is getting some accountability and seeing proof from other men and women who are doing it that you can do it. Because seeing the proof and being in the company of people that will support you will bring you through. And so the question is, and this relates to Steve's comments, are you really ready to give up? Are you ready to put one foot in the grave? You're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever you are. Are you ready to start dying now? Like, I feel people reach a fork in the road. And for most people, that seems to be somewhere between 35 to 45 years old. They reach a fork in the road, and it's kind of like they have to decide, are they going to go in on themselves and they're going to go out on themselves? Going out on themselves is like putting the one foot in the grave. What happens is it's like driving a freeway and getting tired, and you have the rumble strips that go up the side of the freeway. And when you get a little bit tired, you find yourself drifting and you hit that rumble strip, and the rumble strip goes and pushes you back onto waking up. Oh shit. And I'm back on track. And you hit these rumble strips over the course of your life, each time hitting the rumble strip and you back off. But eventually what happens, if you don't do something about it, you hit the rumble strip and you just fall asleep and you keep going off and moving off into the ditch. And that's the death. What is your rumble strip? What are the signs that you are hearing in your life or noticing that are happening that are telling you now's the time to do something about this before you end up in the ditch? The biggest thing that's stopping you from getting started is the worry that you will fail and the self-belief that you currently have that you will follow through. Let's shift your mindset, whether you're inside a Better Body Academy or not. What if we just shifted your mindset and said, you will fail? Like, that's exactly what the intention is. The goal is to fail. It's part of the journey. Just like entering a marriage or having kids, there's going to be rocky days, and to think that it's just going to be this crazy straight line for the rest of your life is just stupid. And physical transformations are exactly the same way. And so what we need to do is enter it with some idea that, there's going to be tough days. Getting healthy and not dying doesn't have to be crazy and complicated and be an unbearable process. And it's that kind of those difficulties that the fitness industry has constructed, which makes it feel like it's going to be hell. When I looked at Steve Byron yesterday, I saw a guy that was excited about life. He was getting up early. He was going to the gym. He was having he's probably tired, but he was showing up for himself. And that's what you got to be able to do. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to show up for yourself. You just need to do as best as you can. And guess what? Often doing as best as you can is enough to see you tremendous results. Tremendous results. Whether you're inside of Better Body Academy or you're outside of Better Body Academy, I actually don't think it matters. I want to ask you a question. Have you actually flicked the switch and decided to change? You see, the process of change takes time, months and years. It's not a quick process. Just because you're inside the academy, that doesn't mean that you've made a proper commitment or decision. Although change takes time, the decision to change can be made in an instant. An instant. And the moment that you make that mental commitment that I'm going down the road of a healthy, happy man or woman, all of a sudden your entire life circumstances start to shift because you didn't just sit on the fence, you made a decision. And the question that I want to get your Monday morning started on is, have you made that decision yet? And if you haven't made the decision, what are you waiting for? What specifically are you waiting for? The rumble strip is sounding to you that things like we need to do something here. And if it's the fear that's holding you back, just understand that leaning into the process and being okay with imperfection is enough to get you moving. Guys, that's my message for this morning. It's been the Better Body Academy podcast. This is the podcast when you come to when you're sick of the dumb diets and unsustainable workout programs. I'm going to see you guys in the next episode.